Do you know how far you can go by doing 2% difference and 5% planning? Let's see what it means. I'm reading this book here by Evan Carmichael called Momentum, and here are my notes as I was reading the book a few weeks ago. So here we're studying section 2, and section 2 talks about the 7 actions of momentum. And guess what? The first one is called the 2% difference. So the 2% difference is the idea that when you want to achieve a goal, you cannot right away be able to do 100% of the goal. If you want to become a piano player, you cannot be 100% master of piano playing. All you can do is do a little thing, a little steps, taking small actions to actually get you closer to your work, closer to your goals. So here are some ideas. Keeping in mind that the best way to create momentum is to take action. So here are some I might know. Do not fall victim of your logic brain. Too often, when we do activities, we have in mind that we want to achieve a goal, and we forget that sometimes it takes many steps to achieve that goal. All I can say is sometimes when you know where you're going, you may have a vision, you may have your bigger idea of where you want to go. Trying to trying to believe that you are done 100% without the pitfalls, the learning that needs to go through that. I think it is the logic brain that says you should be able to do that. However, your heart and your energy knows that we cannot change the world in 3 seconds. All we can do is knowing that if we can make a 2% difference, if we can get 2% closer to our goal, it's worth doing. I have here that most of the time we tend to um, be paralyzed by our thoughts. We think of the whole ideas and it gets harder. One of my notes here says like this: you have to think that contributing towards your goal is amazing, even though it is just 2% of it. So let's see the other one. Here I have planning. Planning gets in the way of momentum. Now keep in mind that if you want to have momentum, you want to get closer to your goals, you need to get started. Because as soon as you get started, a few things happen. So I had a graph at some point right here, and it goes like this. If you want to have momentum, you have to take 2%. You need to take actions knowing that it will get you 2% closer to your goals. That will create momentum because once you take a few steps, you take a few actions, it will get you going and therefore create some successes and give you the confidence to move forward. By giving you momentum and some successes, it will give you courage to continue what you want to do. And at the end here, you need to say, okay, what is the next step? The next step being taking more actions. So you've done 2%, then it gets you to 4%, 6%, and guess what? You are getting closer to your goal. So here it says that the plan will take shape. The plan will take shape because you are moving towards where you want to go. Now, you have to keep in mind that sometimes you are taking actions, you get busy, and at some point you need to step back saying, okay, are the actions I'm taking getting me closer to my goal? If it does, you know that you take more actions to create momentum to get you going. On the other hand, if you notice that the actions you're taking are not getting you closer to the goals you're having, then it's a time for you to say, okay, what should I change to get closer? Here, and look at this, Evan, here in this page, that's which page? It's page 36, goes like this. When should you start? You know, the best time to start is right now. Some people will say, well, you know what? The best time to start something was yesterday, and the next best time is today. And that's what I would say. If you have an idea and you know that there's something you could do to get you this much closer to your goal, why don't you do it? Because once you do that, you'll be closer, and then it's the best way to build the courage to build momentum. And that brings me to the second point today. And the second point goes like this, is the 595 rule. So what is the 595 rule? Look at this. I have some notes here. It's a very short page, actually. Oh no, it's a bit longer than, there you go. Let's see the notes I have for this one. Look at this. The idea of the 595 rules goes like this. When you want to get closer to your goal, plan 5% of the way there. Once you have planned 5% of the way there, then you know what you could do to get started. Because too often, if you plan 100% of the goal you're planning to achieve, if you're thinking of everything you need to get there, what may happen is that you spend so much time planning that you're not getting anywhere. So here, let's see. Yeah, it's funny actually. So here I have the idea that what do you want to do today? Well, don't plan 100% of your day. Just plan 5%, saying, okay, right now all I want to do is get up, brush my teeth, and have a nice coffee in the morning. You know what? That's all the plan you need. By that time, you're up, you're ready to go, and then you can plan the next bit. Now, I always say that you need to keep in mind that your safety needs to be met. So that means that sometimes you need to plan 100% for safety. If you think of firefighters, for example, or people in the army, they do need to plan as much as possible to think of most of the contingency plans if something happens, because safety is at risk here. But if you're talking about a goal, you want to write a blog, you want to create a new business idea, that you can start planning just 5%, get going, and then adjust as you go along. Because you'll notice that the more you do things, the more you realize that sometimes it doesn't go according to plans. Sometimes you're trying something and it works nicely, you move forward. Sometimes it doesn't work at all. And I call it you're failing, you're learning, and then you're failing forward to move along. Because if you're planning 100% of what you want to do, and there's a pitfall, something happens, sometimes people feel discouraged and they say, well, it's not working for me. And then they stop completely. On the other hand, if they've planned part of the way, knowing it's in the right direction, and something happens, then they can say, okay, how can I redirect my energy to go to where I want to go? So this is the idea here of the 595 rule. I took some notes because I always take notes when I read a book, and goes like this. Do not sit on the sideline. And the idea here is too often we're planning so much that we feel paralyzed. It's the same thing. Sometimes you have a project and then you go in the planning phase of the project doesn't get started, and you're still in the process of just starting to go towards where you're going. And until you take the actions to move forward, you always stay at the right place. Hence, the sideline. The other one here I have is, and it's something that I am guilty of, is too often I can be considered as a professional learner. I mean by professional learner, a person who loves to learn. Okay, I would like to create a business. We're learning all kind of ideas about businesses. I would like to write a blog. Let's learn as much as I can about blogging. I want to learn about a new pedagogy of teaching. Let's learn as much as I can. Go to conferences, meet people, and so on. But you can learn so much. But the issue, though, is that if you're learning a lot and do not apply what you learn, then at some point that learning may not go anywhere. That learning will not be helping others get better. So I am guilty of that a little bit. And that's why I call it being a professional learner. So one thing I'm learning very much, and the same thing with this YouTube channel, is to take action. Wanting to make videos, let's start a video and see how far it's going. I did several videos until I realized that I love discussing what I read. And therefore, I decided to take the book here, Momentum, and share with you my insight about it. Another one I have here is, okay, yeah, that's a funny one. Once you start a project, so that idea of 5% planning and you move forward is that you start, which is amazing. And it goes along with the first rule, which is the 2% difference. Once you start, you need to expect to suck. Because once you know and you realize that, okay, I am expecting to not be the best, then you open the door to the fact that you're willing to learn, to get better as you are moving forward. And the funny thing that way is that once you expect to suck, you don't expect to be perfect. You're doing one step, you adjust, another step, you learn something new, another step, and as you go along, you notice that the 5% planning gets you 50% of the way or even further. The idea of we want to act on the 2% difference, you'll notice that you have created 10% difference, 50% difference. But the key part here is you need to take action. And in order to take action without feeling overwhelmed, without the feeling that procrastination gets in the way, you need to keep in mind that you just aim for 2% difference. You're not expecting to change the world today, just 2% better. And that we can all do that. And planning, let's not plan the whole thing because we end up procrastinating and stalling the start of a project. Let's plan 5% and take the first action. Once the first action is taken, then you can develop the plan and then you are moving forward. So that is my idea here for today. We're talking about this book, Momentum by Evan Carmichael, and we are talking about the, let's see, this is section 2, and the section 2 is like this. They are the 7 actions of momentum. So I'm going to put here a link to my milestone journey, the list of video of me wanting to create something different, something to add to my professional learning. And second, I'm going to put on this side a video that will interest you. And I'll see you in the next video.